She glanced around the youth club until she caught his eye. Her stomach flipped like it did every time he looked at her. She nodded her reply and turned to Courtney and Caitlin, who she was sitting with. "I'm going to grab a bit of fresh air." She stood, acting casual, even though her heart was pumping fast. "I feel like I need some space." "Want me to come with you?" Courtney asked with a look of concern. Sophie shook her head. "No, you stay here. I won't be long." "Okay, babes. Message me if you want me, and I'll come out to you." Sophie nodded to her friend. Once outside, she let out a breath. Her dad hadn't been too impressed when she'd said she was going out, but eventually she'd persuaded him that she needed to be with her friends. Tegan hadn't been allowed to come, which was annoying, but at least she had the twins. She'd told her dad she was being picked up and brought home by Mrs. Pigott. Luckily, he'd been okay with that. She gulped down a sob. She was going to miss Lauren so much. They'd known each other since junior school, and even though Sophie never usually cried in public, she hadn't been able to stop the tears all day. Her eyes were red and sore, but there was no point in trying to make herself look presentable again now. He'd have to take her as he found her. One of them was missing, gone forever, not coming back. How were they supposed to cope with that? After dropping them off at school, Mrs. Pigott had told them she'd be waiting at 8:30, which is why Sophie knew time was of the essence. But as well as being there for the rest of the girls, she wanted to see him. She wanted to be comforted too. Finally, her phone beeped. "I'm here." It was quiet back there, but even so, Sophie glanced around to see if anyone was watching. When she felt it was safe, she ran across to the outbuildings behind the sports hall. As she reached the first shed, he popped his head out and disappeared again. Around the corner, out of view, she ran into his arms. "I thought I wouldn't be able to see you," she cried as she held on tight to him. He rubbed a hand over her hair. "I'm glad that we found time." He tilted her chin towards him and kissed her. "How are you?" "I'm okay, but it's such a shock." She wiped away tears that had fallen. "I can't stop crying. She was one of my closest friends." "I know." He drew her into his arms again. "I feel like I don't want to let you go. I don't want anything to happen to you. I care about you too much." "I care about you too," Sophie replied, although she wasn't really sure. Was he talking about love? She didn't feel as if they'd been together long enough for that. But then, how would she know? She'd never been in love before. They'd been meeting for nearly 6 weeks, but she hadn't told anyone. She'd sneaked out to see him 2 or 3 times a week. Knowing that people wouldn't understand why she was seeing him, she'd fibbed to her dad, saying she was over at the twins' house. And she'd lied to the twins, saying she was staying in. So far, it had worked out fine. Except when things like this happened, and she wanted to see him, but couldn't. "I wonder who the killer could be," she said. "It's hard to know that someone is still out there." "I guess, but the police will catch whoever did it," he said. She paused for a moment in honour of her friend, then flipped the talk back to herself, as only a teenager could. "When will I be able to see you again?" "Soon." "I hope so." She breathed in the scent of him, the tang of his aftershave. She really wished they had somewhere they could be alone together. She wanted his hands all over her. He kissed her gently on the lips this time. "I need to remember you until we can be together." Sophie almost laughed. She couldn't help it. He was trying to be romantic, but it sounded like a line out of a bad movie. "I can get out tomorrow, if you can," he questioned. "I'll try." "When will you know?" "Probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll text you." She glanced at her watch. "I have to go. Don't want to blow my cover." He pulled her close, his lips crushing down on hers. It was passionate, something that made Sophie's heart sore. She broke away with regret. "I need to leave." She moved away from him reluctantly. He held onto her hand.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.